This is Client Acquisition Case Study 136. We're going to dive into a couple of things today. One, we're going to show you an example of how identity resolution completely transformed a business-to-business tech company's content marketing strategy. And then two, how our partner agencies are able to use this tool in the form of Site Visitor Match to close billion-dollar companies and earn five-figure contracts. The client in the spotlight today is a $2.4 billion company, which is, as we mentioned, in the business-to-business tech vertical. They make tools to help software engineers do their jobs better, and they produce a lot of educational content as part of their lead nurture strategy. They came to one of our partner agencies and ultimately signed a five-figure contract with that agency, which we'll get to in a minute, because they needed help with a specific part of that strategy. They had just released a major piece of content and were spending quite a bit, around $11 per click on AdWords, to drive traffic to a lead capture form that used that content as the incentive for an opt-in. Now, that's a pretty standard marketing strategy. So why would a company of this size need our help? And why did they determine that Site Visitor Match, our identity resolution technology, was a tool they needed to have to make it work? Back in Case Study 109, we told you a similar story about how a media company used identity resolution to build a 1.5 million subscriber opt-in email list. Let's take just a minute to recap the role Site Visitor Match played in that campaign, and then we'll show you why it makes sense for this billion-dollar company as well. When a visitor lands on your site and doesn't opt in, two things can happen. Without identity resolution, you have to rely on traditional platform-specific retargeting cookies. To get that visitor back to the site means launching a retargeting campaign, and that means paying to rent back your first-party data, and to being limited to retargeting only on the channel that dropped the retargeting cookie. That's scenario 1, without Site Visitor Match. Here's scenario 2, with Site Visitor Match. Because our pixel's on their site, even if a visitor doesn't opt in, we can resolve their identity, match it with the information we have in our identity graph, and give the company the ability to retarget that visitor, online and offline, across 12 different ad channels, without asking for permission from Google, Facebook, or anyone else, and without paying those platforms to rent back the data, our first-party data that we should own. And again, you can do all that without an opt-in. Compare that to the old-fashioned way of using platform-specific cookies, where you have to pay over and over and over again to access your data, so you can retarget that visitor only on platforms that are dictating all the rules, like when, where, and how you're allowed to do it. So think about this. If this company is paying $11 per click to drive someone to a piece of content, how much of a, excuse the phrase, no-brainer is it to pay a small fraction of that per-click price to make the record of that visitor's identity permanent, whether they opt in the first time or not. And not just permanent, but portable. And not just permanent and portable, but first-party data that they finally own and control forever. That person who clicked has shown interest. They've clicked, and now you are on this visitor's radar. Billion-dollar companies understand the immense value in that visit, in that click, which is why hiring our partner agency for $6,000 a month or high five figures over the life of the contract to provide that value is a smart and pretty obvious business decision. The point to understand is this. Companies like this hire in-market targeting and our partner agencies because they recognize the value of being in 100% control of their marketing, of being able to reach their prospects wherever they go, for as long as they need to, across any channel and at any time, of being able to do what cookies can't. Giving companies this kind of ability, which they can't get anywhere else, is what Site Visitor Match was built to do.